Hey guys, Ted here from American Rifle, here to tell you about the trigger hanger in our new Coup De Grâce bolt action. So I'm just going to get right to it, show you how it works and how to install it, and that should tell the story. So this is the trigger hanger. The bottom surface is flat. There's a threaded hole at the forward end and a slot at the aft end, right? So what I want to do first is I want to insert a set screw. This is a 5mm set screw. I think it's about 8mm long, and it's got a point on one end. The point goes up, and when you insert it, you'll feel some resistance, which is there by design in order to prevent the thing from rotating when everything's fully assembled and in the receiver. It's probably a good idea to put some blue Loctite on this thing. If you're really paranoid about the thing coming loose, you can also we can provide you with a longer set screw and a lock nut to really hold it in place. But I think blue Loctite will be sufficient. So once the screw is in, we want to put the trigger into the trigger hanger. And remember, the set screw goes towards the front and the flat surface goes towards the bottom. And then I'm going to insert these little these little pins, right? And these pins, they've got pointy ends, and the pointy ends, they're going to stick out from either side of the trigger hanger, and those are actually going to engage the receiver. So the forces that are actually trying to push the trigger hanger out of the receiver are carried by the receiver, right? The pins are transferring those forces directly to the receiver. What this little screw is going to do is going to prevent the motion of the trigger hanger fore and aft. So when I put this in here, all I got to do is drop it in, right? Just drop it right into the trigger slot and slide it forward. It's literally that easy. It just drops in through. You'll see these little cuts on the bottom of the receiver, right? You'll see these little cuts on the bottom of the receiver that allow the passage of the points, and then you slide it forward, and now I can't lift it out of there. So again, those vertical loads are being transferred into the receiver by way of the pins, not by way of the trigger hanger. The trigger hanger is only there to position the trigger fore and aft. So once this is all together, and by the way, all the scratches that you're seeing, full disclosure, we just spray painted this trigger hanger to match this anodized bolt knob. The trigger hanger hasn't been anodized. So, but we kind of wanted the colors to match a little bit for the video. So now I'm going to take this little 3.5mm set screw. It's got a serrated washer. It's functions kind of as a lock washer. I'm going to put it in the slot and then screw it into the receiver, and then use a 2.5mm hex key to screw that guy down. And I'm just going to leave that loose a little bit, right? So now, when I close the bolt, right, the bolt is going to push the trigger hanger to the forward end of its limit, right? There's my adjustment, plus or minus 0.6, and I'm pushing this. When I close the bolt, the trigger assembly is getting pushed forward, right up to the limit. And the way this works now, as I turn this screw, remember the point on the set screw? That point engages a sloped surface. It's actually, this basically makes 45 degrees with respect to the bore axis. Right? As the point of the set screw hits that surface, it's actually going to drive the trigger backwards into the receiver. And the reason that's good, right, is because when I right now, I close the bolt, right? I'm going to put the safety on so I don't accidentally pull the trigger, right? So right now you can see that when I close the bolt, there's a lot of drop on close, right? Can you get that? Close the bolt, a lot of drop on close. That's undesirable. We don't want that, nor do we want a lot of cock on close. What we want is just nice neutral close. So what we do now is if I lift the bolt handle, I can feel it. I can feel the cocking piece inside the bolt. And I can feel the cocking piece hitting the cocking cam. So I'm going to screw this in a couple of turns, which is going to be my first guess as to where it should be, right? And now, when I lift the bolt, I can still feel the cocking piece hitting the cocking cam. That's what that little stop is right there. I'm going to turn this in a little bit more. Yeah, that's feeling pretty good. I think I can do a little better. Turn that on a little bit more. That's feeling really good right there. So now I want to lock down the position with the aft screw, and I want to do it with the action cocked. That way the cocking piece is pushing forward on the whole trigger assembly, biasing it towards, basically forcing the set screw up against that slopey surface, right? So now I just want to tighten that, and that between the socket head cap screw here and the set screw up front, we're really doing a good job controlling and maintaining the position of the trigger assembly fore and aft. So now when I close it, I get no cock on close, and I get no drop on close. It's just perfect. Super smooth, super easy, and yeah, easy bolt lift. Everything you just can't get it any better than that. So anyway, that's it. That's our trigger hanger. This is the new Coup De Grâce bolt action. Buy one. You'll be glad you did.